simple, yet very important. We have a couple of St. Joan of Arc students that decided to walk or run to change the world. And that's what we're here to find out about today. At this point, I'd like to turn things over to our principal, Mr. Scalia. He has a few words for us.
Thank you, Mr. Hayes, and welcome to all of you. It certainly is wonderful to have all of your students here, along with our staff, and this very important challenge that has been placed in our lap here at St. Joan of Arc. And just to give you a little bit of history on how this all came about, it was last year around the month of May that George had called our school and had asked if St. Joan of Arc students and staff would be interested in participating in this very important and worthwhile cause. And so I asked him a little bit about what was involved, and it sounds simple enough, but I thought that this would be a good way for our students to raise awareness on organ donations, organ and tissue donations. So I agreed that we would get involved, and I put out a request to staff on students who would be good, worthy candidates to have the honor and privilege of carrying the torch through our region of Vaughan. And unanimously, 2 students' names kept coming up over and over again. And it was my honor and privilege to thank both Thomas and Leanna for accepting the challenge and today running from the city of Vaughan to our school. And tomorrow, this decision just happened at lunch today. We can thank Leanna's mother for the recommendation. Because originally we were just going to cap them down to the next place, which is Westview Secondary School. They have now volunteered to run from St. Joan tomorrow at 7:45 and then run to Westview Secondary School where we're going to pass the torch on to the next group of students who will be carrying the torch on its journey through across Canada. This journey started in October in Newfoundland, in St. John's, and it's made its way slowly across Canada, and eventually it's going to make its way into one of our territories. I'm sorry, George. None of it. And the name of the sorry?
Iqaluit, none of it. Iqaluit.
Sorry, my geography. This territory didn't exist when I was taking geography in school. There was 2 of them, so they've added 2 more, and they really confused me. So anyway, that's exactly where it's going to end up. And that's a long way away, and that's going to be amazing. They've got a long journey still ahead of them, and we're very honored and privileged that Thomas and Leanna accepted the challenge. I, too, myself, today was inspired by our mayor, Linda Jackson, who this morning spoke passionately about her being an organ donor herself in the sense that she signed her card and that she's ready and willing if ever needed. And it inspired me today. I mean, we go through our lives, and it's not something that I considered, signing my organ donor card. But today, I have been moved to do that. And it's the hope, I'm sure, of George and Lou and all of the other people who are working so hard on this campaign to raise awareness on the importance of the gift of life, on the potential we have for helping someone else. And so I have to thank George and Lou for that, because you've certainly moved one more person, and I've included myself in that. I also want to thank Eddie, who's come this afternoon from the Ministry of Health and the Trillium Gift of Life to come and share some words with you on the importance of organ donation. And also want to thank all of the students from Student Council and from chaplains here, Mr. Hayes, in organizing all of these students to come and be part of this paraliturgy this afternoon. I'd like to thank Patricia Preston for taking time out of her busy schedule to come and celebrate together with you. It's very special for her to come and do that. We really appreciate that. Thank you very much. And last but not least, I'd like to also thank Father Felix and Maria Tironi. I know last week when I approached Father Felix and Maria about the idea of a paraliturgy, Father Felix immediately started his research and began putting this all together. And I have to thank you for that, Father Felix. It's something I'm really looking forward to. And you should also know that as a follow-up, besides the PA announcements that have been going on in our school, the religion classes in our school in grade 11 and 12 will also be spending time in their classes over the next few days on the importance of organ donation. So I'm looking forward to this prayer liturgy and sharing it with you. So thank you.
I'm here with the Children Gifts of Life, and before I get into my presentation, you guys all watch TV, right? Yes. So the first part of this will look a little bit familiar. This is just how it's going to start off.
Thank you for giving me a second chance.
When you choose to sign your organ and tissue donor card, make sure you take the time to speak to your family. It's the only way to make sure your choices will be respected.
Thank you.
For taking the time, speaking to your family, for giving me a second chance.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for saving my daughter's life. Say you're giving the gift of life.
Four people in our family choose when we wanted to give the baby a match, which is, I think, a miracle, quite a blessing. So I'm very, very happy.
I didn't think there would be one for me. I thought it would be too late before finally I would get one. And I did finally get one, and I'm just forever grateful.
We basically found out that the waiting list for a cadaveric donor would be 2 years, 3 years possibly, at which point we decided to go live donor, and that was where I came in, and my daughter's doing fine, and I'm doing fine.
I've been waiting for well over a year now, and it's still going to be a couple to 3 more years possibly. So, you know, it's a long time to wait.
After many years, 15 years, I was at a point where I needed to have a transplant. And that's probably the hardest thing, that waiting, that time period. And the thoughts, is it going to come? Is it going to be the right size? Is it going to be a match? And are they going to get it in the right time before I pass away? It was 10 hours for my surgery.
There's a tragic irony in transplantation today. It's the best of times because never in the history of organ transplantation have the results been as good as they are. We talk about success rates of 80, 85, and 90%. It's also the worst of times because it's the worst time for patients to be on a transplant waiting list because of the shortage of donor organs. The waiting times have never been as long. There have never been so many patients waiting, and the risk of dying on the transplant waiting list has never been so high. We don't just talk about survival now, we talk about rehabilitation and how patients are restored to full and active and productive lives in the community. And they're not sick on immunosuppression any longer. They're healthy people, like Heather Fisher, people who can climb Mount Kilimanjaro.
And I have just gone forward and enjoyed my life immensely. Enjoying just the simple things of going for long walks. It's being able to do those physical things again where I had to stop prior to my transplant. It's very exciting having that second chance. The sadness in our heart is that somebody did have to die. We are forever thinking about that individual, about that family, and thanking them in our hearts and minds, although we don't have that opportunity to do that personally. They gave us life.